Now in this section, we're going to update our code to get a specific group for Microsoft Graph. So let's go back to the code that we added previously. And I'm going to go ahead and delete all of the code for request number 1. And what we're going to do is we're going to start by having a line that's going to get a list, or to let us specify a specific group. Let's grab the Digital Initiative Marketing Relations. So I'm going to grab this GUID and we'll paste that in right here. And then what we'll do is we will add in some additional code, and what this is going to do is just display one group. And so here we're going to the groups collection, but we're passing in the ID of a specific group and then submitting the request. When we get the result back, we'll write out the group ID, the display name, and the mail associated with it as well. So we can run a .NET build to rebuild the application or recompile it. We'll then run a .NET run to execute the application. Again, we have to log in using the current user's username and password. And here we can see that Microsoft Graph has made the request to the Graph endpoint, or our application has used Microsoft Graph to request the details for a specific group. You can also see there the request endpoint that we're actually submitting to Microsoft Graph is shown at the very end of this line. So you can see the actual endpoint that we're going to and how we're submitting that request. Now in this last section, we're going to get the owner of the group that we obtained in the last section. So what I'm going to do is come over here and we're going to get rid of the code that we just added and replace it with the owners of the group. And so here we're still going to get the same group, but notice that we're getting, for the group owners, we're actually going to the owners property on that group to fetch the request. We're then going through and walking through all the owners that we get back in the results, and we're going to write all of those users out. Owners are not currently available in Microsoft Graph for groups that were created in Exchange or groups that are synchronized from an on-premise environment. If no owners are displayed, it's likely you selected one of those groups, one of those types of groups. You can update the code to use a different group ID and rerun the test, and just keep repeating this process until at least one owner is displayed. This is just a simple limitation of Microsoft 365. Now, let's build and test the application. So I'll do a .NET build, followed by a .NET run. And again, we'll be prompted to authenticate. So I paste in my username and my password. And here we go. We're listing out all the owners for the current group. So you can see we have a list of owners. We have 3 owners: the administrator, myself, or the current user that's logged in, and Miriam as well. And then you can see the endpoint that made a request to is the same as the last one, except for we just have owners on the end of it. Now we can do the exact same thing, but get a list of all the members for the group. So what I'll do now is we'll go ahead and get rid of request number 3. Let me paste in request number 4. And you'll see what we're doing here. The only difference is that we're listing out all of the members instead of all of the owners. So again, we'll rerun this application. .NET build and .NET run. We'll just run those on the same line. Have to log in again. So we'll paste in the username and the password, and we'll see what members are actually in this group. And we can see there's a lot of people that are in this group. And sure enough, again, the request at the very end is just showing us the /members endpoint. So in this demo, what you saw was how to create an Azure AD application registration using the Azure AD Admin Center, a .NET Core console app, and then how to query Microsoft Graph for details on Office 365 groups.